Many in the cyber war are convinced the days of merely using the web to probe and map America's infrastructure are near an end. They worry the enemy, especially one enemy in particular, is preparing for action.
I've been watching them for quite a while, and they are very, very good at everything from money laundering to secure communications, and to underestimate them at any point in time is suicidal.
He's talking about Al-Qaeda. In the rubble created by the war in Afghanistan, Clark and other cyber experts looked at Al-Qaeda computers.
But I think the breadth of their interest in areas such as computer attack caught us by surprise. And by that I just mean the documents that were found, information we've learned from people that we have in custody.
What we found on Al-Qaeda computers were that members of Al-Qaeda were from outside the United States, doing reconnaissance in the United States on our critical infrastructure.
The government has changed its view. The CIA said 18 months ago that Al-Qaeda is nowhere near having the capability to inflict serious damage in cyber war. It put out a new memorandum of intelligence some months ago saying, well, it looks like they have more capability than we thought, and it looks like they have more intention than we thought.
They were putting people in computer classes whose purpose simply was to develop a competency and a skill set that then they could then turn into a capability to develop attacks.
And there are those who fear that if Al-Qaeda has acquired those skills, they will mount a devastating attack on one of the nation's most vulnerable infrastructures. They may be able to use the internet to bring down portions of the electrical power grid.
It turns out that there are only 5 or 6 software systems that are used around the world to run electric power grids, other utilities, pipelines, dams, those sorts of things. They're called digital control systems, or they're called SCADA systems, supervisory control and data acquisition systems.
Almost no one flips a switch at the power company anymore. Now it's done by a little black box, a SCADA system, that talks to other little black boxes, often through the internet.
SCADA systems are really the cyber world's portal into our 3D world. They allow cyberspace to sense what we're doing, sense temperature, sense movement, sense position, and they allow cyberspace to control things in our 3D world. Move a motor, close a switch, turn on a heater.
Al-Qaeda prisoners have described intentions in general terms to use those tools. Specialized digital devices are used by the millions as the brains of American critical infrastructure.
All of a sudden, someone coming in from Pakistan through the internet, through a hole in your intranet security, is in a place where they can control these black boxes. That is the threat.
Once, SCADA systems stood alone in factories or power plants. Not anymore. Now they're connected on the web. Whole industries are linked. That's good for business, and even better for cyber warriors.
I liken it very much to my own thermostat at home. My thermostat at home is protected because I keep my front door locked, so no one can come in and change my heat around. If I add a wireless element to my thermostat, now suddenly I can control it from my computer. I can turn the heat up when I'm at work so that the house is warm when I get home. I can understand every month exactly what my fluctuations are in temperature. Unfortunately, because it's wireless, someone could sit outside my house now in the car with a laptop and at 4 o'clock in the morning turn off my heat in the dead of winter.
At Sandia National Laboratories in New Mexico, they worry about just how vulnerable the nation's power grid is. Recently, they initiated a series of red team assaults on SCADA systems that control power companies, including their own solar power generating station.
When we go after an electrical power system, electrical power provider for the critical infrastructures, we always penetrate that system. During an attack on a SCADA system, an operator will see what the adversary wants them to see, and of course dependent upon the scenario and the security of that system. So an operator may see a false indication of the condition of their infrastructure. They may be fooled into taking actions that are unwarranted so that they themselves damage the infrastructure, not the attacker. What the attacker did was implement an attack script that befuddled the display of the controller so that when they move one control on a generator, it affects a second. This will confuse the operator and perhaps cause an effect on the infrastructure that's damaging. At the solar facility, when we attacked the IT infrastructure, what we did was we hacked into the system using a common technique. Once we were into the system, we were able to access any of the command and control functions that the operator would be able to use. In this case, we simply executed a script that moved 4 of the mirrors and danced them around on the solar facility. The red team could have gained access to the system, written a more specific script to have specific effect on the mirrors, such as moving them to the wrong location or causing damage to the solar facility.
Could you and a group of friends take down the electrical grid of the United States or North America?
I don't know if you'd be able to take down the whole grid, but I know that you could take down significant pieces of it for, let's say, operationally useful periods of time. Penetrating a SCADA system that's running a Microsoft operating system takes less than 2 minutes.
Could your team take down the entire grid in the United States?
The IDART Red Team could demonstrate numerous vulnerabilities and system effects against U.S. critical infrastructure that are scenario dependent and adversary dependent. And we do this so that we can help improve the systems so that they can't be taken down in the future and a cyber Pearl Harbor won't affect the U.S. infrastructures.
But could you if you wanted to?
I won't answer that question.
And even though the power companies don't like to talk about it, this threat really scares them, especially industry experts on cybersecurity. Frontline reporter Jim Gilmore talked to one of them, Joe Weiss.
What's the worst case scenario? Power, we're talking here. Power lines, power grid.
Absolute worst? I wouldn't even say absolute, but a very worst case could be loss of power for 6 months or more.
Over how big a area?
Big as you want.
Is that a possibility?
Yes.
How?
I just do not go into it.
But you believe, as an expert and a man who understands these systems, that that indeed is a possibility.
It's possible.
Why isn't Washington quaking in its shoes?
I can't tell you. I don't know. I don't know.